I'm sure Meghan and Harry are lovely people, but seriously, instead of buying an $18 million mansion, they could have invested all that, got a $2 million mansion, and they could be set for life for the rest of their lives. So the big question is this: how are investors like us, who weren't born with a silver spoon, successfully investing in property to create a passive income and still have a lifestyle now? That is the question. This podcast will give you the answers. I'm George Markoski, and welcome to the Positive Property Show. Our mission is to empower 10,000 people to create financial freedom through property using the Markoski method. Join us. We're back. So hello and welcome. George Markoski, Positive Property, with the amazing Belinda. Almost said my Belinda, but you're not my Belinda. You're amazing, Belinda. You're our Belinda. We all share you as a community. Nice
exactly.
Now,
I love it.
Now, guys, if you're watching live, please say hello in the chat. And people that are going to watch the replay, if you're watching the replay, I know a lot of people watch it, put hashtag replay now. What I would like to say is, you saw the title of my post today, Help Me Pay Off Meghan and Harry's Mansion. You might be wondering why I'm saying this, but there was a GoFundMe page set up to pay off the mortgage of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's $14.6 million California estate. Has gone bust, right? And I'm going to go to the GoFundMe page right now. So I'm going to share my screen. And if you look here, it says, hello, I'm Anastasia Hansen of Ventura, California. I'm raising funds to pay off the mortgage. I'm raising funds to pay off the mortgage for the Montecito, California home of Harry and Meghan. Where 2 million supporters donate just $5 each, the goal is met and the loan could be paid off. And after their interview, I was moved with compassion to help get their home paid off. As they are financially independent, this will help them and be a loving gift. What a lovely gesture, hey?
That's lovely.
Harry and Meghan, they need help. It's only, they've got a $14 million mansion. Every $5 helps, And she wrote, if you feel in your heart to help and support the donation, then please do so. We all can use some form of help in the world, and it begins with love and compassion. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Right?
Wow.
How many investment properties could they have bought? Yes, good question, Lisa. Exactly. Probably a lot.
I love it. That's hilarious.
The point is, right, and this is, a bit of tongue-in-cheek, obviously, because I'm not about to help Meghan and Harry. Even though, I'm sure Meghan and Harry are lovely people. But seriously, instead of buying an $18 million mansion, they could have invested all that, got a $2 million mansion, and they could be set for life for the rest of their lives. So what I'm saying is you should really, be smart with your money, right? Will they get it through? You should really tune into Oprah next week and see what happens. You know what I mean?
Look, Oprah might be, jumping on that bandwagon and helping him.
Look, she's a billionaire and they're rich as well.
If anyone was going to help, Oprah would be on your number one list, wouldn't it, really?
Yeah, I'm sure she can help. But look, the thing is, I saw a funny meme, where the Prince, Meghan and Harry are sitting there talking to Oprah. And they're like, life's hard. And Oprah goes, yeah, I know, it's tough. And everyone's going, ha, 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 ha. But look, the fact of it is, it doesn't matter how rich you are. You're always going to have problems in life anyway. There's always going to be challenges.
Challenges.
Money's not going to solve everything for you. That's the fact. And so if you think that being filthy rich is going to make your life better, guess what? You're absolutely right. There you are. You're absolutely right. But if you think you're not going to have challenges, well, you're going to have challenges no matter what. That's the fact of it. And funny enough, what I do is I'm a bit of a nerd and I like to study what the world is doing at the moment. And I've been doing a bit of research in America and what's been happening in America. Because the American market is pretty interesting and I think we can always learn from other countries and things like that. And I think that the whole world at the moment, I'm talking about the Western world here. I'm talking about the first world because we live in a different world to the third world. And the first world have gone through the whole same thing and we're going through a V-shaped recovery. I don't know if you know what a V-shaped recovery is.
Not really, but I'm hoping you're going to explain it.
Yeah, I'm going to explain. A V-shaped recovery is when you've got the little dot here and it goes and then it goes straight up again. That's why it's called V shape, because it's a V, right? And what happens is during COVID, there was a bit of a dip and now it's come back up again. But it's more of a squiggle than a V because it didn't go much down, but it's going up quite a bit. It's more like a tick, like a Nike tick. It's gone down and gone straight up, right?
Yep.
And one of the interesting things about what's going on in the world economy right now is they're pretty similar dynamics playing all over the world. And that's because COVID has affected most countries in the same way.
Yeah, right.
Pandemic-driven lockdown followed by super cheap money and massive fiscal spending.
That's it.
Right. Funny enough, in scale and scope, it almost seems like the whole world was being coordinated doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. And obviously, I'm talking about the developed world here, not countries that are, that are third world countries, but they're because we've got a pretty coordinated set of economic conditions in the first world, and we're getting a very coordinated response.
Yep.
Right. And that's one of the reasons I like to follow the US market and what's happening there, because I've got a lot of interest in that, because the economy and what they're doing, we're doing something very similar. Right. And see, when you look in America, under the hood, we've got the same sort of dynamics happening, right? We've got reduced interest rates, which reduces household interest burdens. We've got booming asset prices and free money from the government that have triggered a boom in household net worth. So what's happening around the first world? I'm talking America, Australia, New Zealand, UK, Canada, all those sort of countries. A lot of Europe. I like to talk about all the English-speaking countries because that's the reports that I normally read.
Yeah.
They're all having a massive boom in household net worth. You know why? I'm going to go through this now, but one of the reasons is because everyone's reserve bank is printing a shit ton of money. So this is the thing that's happening, right? With net worth booming and income levels holding fairly consistent, households' net worth as a percent of disposable income is through the roof. So, but households are looking at their newfound wealth thinking, I reckon I got use for that. So what's happening is equity withdrawals on the rise because people are looking at taking advantage of this.
Yeah, right.
So as a result, and obviously one of the most productive ways you can do with equity in your house after you blow it on jet skis and motorbikes and because you can't do it on holidays and, go to nice restaurants, because the restaurant trade is booming now as well, because people are spending more money on that. People are spending more money on themselves. But once you spend it on all those things, what else can you do with it? Use it as a deposit for a house.
That's right.
Right. So as a result, in combination with super low interest rates, house prices are accelerating very quickly. Right. And you've also got a lot of the regional centers going up now in holiday places like near the coast.
Yes.
You've got the urban centers falling down and just tanking out. So what's happening, which is interesting, is capital cities right in the center, like Melbourne CBD, Brisbane CBD, Sydney CBD, Docklands, places like that are just nosediving. But you've got the suburbs that are booming. So the suburbs are really booming more than anything else. Yep. But it's very predictable because super cheap money is going to create assets to go up. End of story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've been talking about this for a long time now. So people have been hearing me. I've been saying this for the last 12 months. So one thing I was surprised how small the V was going down in COVID, because I expected it to be a little bit deeper, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, if anyone's got any doubt about the property market going up, there's no doubt now. You know what I mean?
A deal with no doubt.
No, definitely. There's just no doubt at all. So that's the interesting thing. And now Australians have got over $183 billion in their savings accounts, in their offset accounts, everywhere else. 183 billion. And guess what they're going to do with that money? Knowing Aussies like I know Aussies, they're going to be spending it.
They will 100%.
So that's the news. I like to start the news and tell everyone what's happening at the moment.
The news is interesting. I mean, I suppose you've got to realise as well, we've come from going, like even Melbourne, we went into a lockdown for 7 months. I mean, you're not spending, you're not going out to restaurants, you're not doing anything. So as soon as you break out, Like you might realize, wow, I actually did some savings. People that didn't save before are now saving, but they've been
Exactly.
forced to. So
Yeah.
now they justify being able to spend on property, cars, boats, whatever.
Exactly. So, guys, Wednesday night property show is all about you, our followers. And if you're not tuned in on the Australian property chat, I suggest you come in there because you can interact with us live right now as we speak. And we're
Bring it
going to be
on.
answering questions. So I want you to bring in your questions, ask any questions you want. I think you've always got some questions up your sleeve anyway, Chris Belinda.
I've got a couple of little questions.
Exactly, because what we can do is we can slowly go through this, because what I'd like to do is I'm going to be live for 50 weeks during the year.
Yeah, right.
We are as a group. So seriously, if you'll come here every Wednesday, you can seriously learn a lot about property, and it's great. And if you tune in every Tuesday on our podcast, you get an update every Tuesday. And if you go, you can come to our group and catch it early, 1 week early on the Wednesday night live, which is pretty good.
Yeah, beautiful.
So this is what I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about the property boom, and now once the property boom's happening, I've been noticing a lot of ads on Facebook of all these companies that think they're experts overnight.
Oh, right? They're rampant.
Right. And the thing is, one thing you got to watch out for during property booms, like times like this, is all the property spruikers out there, right? They're out there spruiking property, and, I'm going to give you a few ways of knowing if someone's a property spruiker or not. Right. One way is if they come from nowhere overnight and suddenly pretend to be experts. Well, they're not the real deal, because you want to deal with the real deal. You want someone that's been around for a long time. What have they done? Have they written a book? Have they written articles? Have they been on TV? Have they helped lots of people to have reviews? How long have they been around for? Like someone came out of the woodwork yesterday. You can't become a property expert or investor overnight.
Well, right? Success leaves clues,
Exactly. But the thing is also, I'm really had enough of this get rich quick mentality. Seriously, I've had enough of that up to here. And seriously, two types of people that I really cannot stand. Okay, I can't stand these companies out there that go, oh, invest in property and you're going to make, oh, look at this guy here. He made $1 million in his first year, and this guy did this and that, blah, blah, blah. And they just expand it and talk about this. It's such a load of BS, right? Because seriously, if you think you're going to get rich quick in property, the people that try to get rich quick, they only do one thing. They get poor very quick, right?
Correct.
And I see it all the time. And we had a couple that wanted to join our program. And one thing they were disappointed about when we told them the truth, and we said, hey, it's going to take time. Property takes time. It's going to take an effort. It's going to take time. They're like, oh, we want to do NDIS, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we got promised blah, blah, 18% return. Now, the deal is, right, if you haven't seen my episode on NDIS, I speak to one of the experts in Australia, talking about NDIS and what the truth of it is. And seriously, unless you're an experienced investor and you're thinking long term and you really know what you're doing, you're going to lose money. You're going to overpay for the property, and you're going to get sweet FA rent if you get it at all, right? It's not that easy. It's very difficult. But these people, they've done it now. Now, it doesn't surprise me some people don't want to join our program because we don't often get rich quick. But what surprised me even less when they come back and go, oh, no, I was going to join 5 years ago, and now I've come back and I've lost all this money, and finally I'm going to listen to you guys because you guys have got the runs of the board. You guys are still here,
Yeah, that's right.
The fly-by-night companies out there, it's amazing how many members join us, and they've joined another program and they won't even return their calls. Like, crazy. But the thing is,
that's horrible.
Also, the other thing you got to watch out for is these companies that go around spruiking and try to sell your house on the first call or second call. You know what I mean? Like, you really got to get educated first. We don't let anyone buy unless they've been educated and they go through all the steps.
Absolutely.
Because I want people to be comfortable but also know what they're doing. And the thing is, Then you've got this whole guaranteed rent, guaranteed capital growth, cash back when you buy a property. Quality property, if you want to guarantee your rent, do your research. That will guarantee your rent. Because what's going to guarantee your rent is buying in the right area, having a low vacancy rate, and really getting your stats right. And what's going to guarantee your return is doing the research and investing in yourself. But so the get rich quick mentality, and the other one I can't really handle is when you get members that want to join the program and they're like, nah, I want 10 properties in 1 year. And
unrealistic.
You can't do it. You've got to be realistic. Goals, smart goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timed. That's what it is. You can't, there's no point pretending you're going to get something if you're not going to get it. Okay, I think there'll be good discounts when interest rates goes back up. Is inflation good for mortgages? Jeremy Westwood. Hi, Jeremy. Welcome. And some good questions there. And I'm going to be answering these questions, which is great. So, okay, guys. Jeremy, what do you mean by will there be any good discounts when interest rates goes back up? Because, so the deal is Jeremy's talking about distressed property and things like that. And there's a lot of companies out there that talk about buying distressed property. Now, when you're buying the top 100 suburbs in Australia, these properties are not distressed. They never are. Just doesn't happen. Quality property in the right area is always rented out, it's always going up, and it just doesn't get distressed very often. It's very difficult for that to happen. So I'm not a big fan of trying to buy distressed property for an investment property, because distressed property ain't going to go up for a long time. However, when you're buying an owner-occupier for yourself, then you can buy distressed property because you're going to be in it for a long time and you've got time for it to bounce back up and do that. So I think that's really good. So in regards to, what we were saying before, you've got these companies out there that are offering, rental guarantees and offering discounts, and they're saying we're going to pay for your, for your solicitor and for this and for that and your stamp duty and stuff like that. Whenever I'm getting stuff offered and chucked in for free or getting discounts offered, I'm always very wary. I remember the time when you were going to buy that property in Gladstone, Belinda, and the developer offered you a massive discount, and you asked me for advice.
And guaranteed rental.
Yes, and what did I say? Don't touch a 10-foot pole, because if they're offering a guarantee, so if they're offering a $20,000 discount rebate, whatever it was, and they're offering guaranteed rental, that means this property is going to go down, and they want to get rid of it as soon as possible. And what happened was that property actually went down in halved in value in 2 years' time.
Yep. And most of those, I'm very loud on your other, I'm getting feedback, but a lot of those properties in Gladstone were actually left unfinished.
Yeah. And the problem is, what happens is when people are trying to get these amazing bargains, they're really not getting bargains. Meghan and Harry are doing they're not doing a fundraise. Someone else is doing a fundraise to help them buy a multi-million-dollar mansion. Personally, I'm not gonna go fund them. They've only raised $110 so far, so they really need another 2 million people to help.
Only 2 million. Jeez.
2 million people at $5 each. That's $10 million.
Wow.
Right. So it doesn't take a lot of people to do that. But me personally, I think they should have invested better, and then they'd be good. Is inflation good for mortgages? Okay. Jeremy asked the question, is inflation good for mortgages? Hell yes. Inflation is great for mortgages. And
correct.
Look, I love inflation when I haven't got money in the bank, because what's happening at the moment on a world scale is there's massive inflation going on because we got low interest rates and we're printing a shit load of money, and you can't help but get inflation. And that's why household net worth is going up everywhere in the first world. So everyone's becoming rich, right? Yeah. The problem is, if you've got money in the bank, you're going to become poor, because when household wealth goes up, when all that goes up, it pushes the price of real money. So what's going to happen is, if you've got $100,000 in the bank now, in a year's time, that $100 will be eroded right down. It'd be worth 50 grand in real sense. And that's the fact of it. But what I love about inflation is inflation actually eats away your loan. Put it this way. I mean, I'll give you an example of inflation. I bought a house in Perth for $220,000 in Burswood, and I've got a $180,000 loan on it. So when I bought it 15 years ago, right, $180,000 loan was quite a bit. Now a $180,000 loan on a property, is that a lot of money now these days? No. Now the property is probably worth over $700,000 now. So what has inflation done for me?
Paid off the loan.
It's eaten away the loan. It hasn't paid it off, but it's eaten away
the
loan.
Eating away.
Because what's happened now, inflation's pushed my property up in price. My loan stayed the same, and my loan is next to nothing now when I look at it. And my parents, they bought their house for $35,000.
Wow.
Right? And what happened was I paid off their house. Funny enough, they had their loan for 20 years and they still owed $33,000 after nearly 20 years because they were principal interest. And you know how you get all the interest at the beginning? So when I retired, I paid off their house. It cost me 33 grand. They're like, George, you shouldn't have. Well, it's only 33 grand. It was pretty easy to pay off. But, you know, their house now is worth about 600,000.
Yeah.
And if they kept their loan would still be around $30,000 now. So you can imagine what inflation has done to their loan. It's destroyed it. That's the thing. And that's why part of the reason why I don't bother trying to pay off my loans is because I don't need to. Inflation will do it for me. Let inflation do the heavy lifting. See, the challenge of people, this is the problem, and you've got to get this out of your head. You know, repeat after me. Work smarter, not harder. Smarter, not harder. Who, not how. Who, not how. Smarter, not harder.
Yeah. It's a simple, simple word, but for a lot of people, they don't get it.
Yep. Okay. Can you also shed some light on selling a property and what percentage commission for a real estate agent is a good deal? Is this good time to sell in the South Morang, Victoria? That's by Ravi. Hi, Ravi. How are you? Welcome to the show. Look, selling a property, a reasonable commission in Adelaide is 1.8%. That's really reasonable. You don't want to go too low with an agent because if you go really bottom tier, then you're going to get a shit agent because you'd rather get someone that's good. So I'd like to pay a little bit more than the middle, but I don't want to pay over the top, right at the top either. So I'm sort of the person that wants to pay in the middle, pay for quality, get good value for money. However, I really think that choosing the best real estate agent in that area that's got a lot of listings that knows what he's doing is important. You said you're in South Morang. South Morang is a very good area. Melbourne is about to go through a little mini boom after its lockdown. So at the moment, personally, I don't like selling full stop. So I normally say to people, don't sell. Full stop. I'd only be selling if I was in Docklands or Melbourne CBD. If I had a unit somewhere in Australia, I'd be getting rid of it. If I was out in the rural area, I'd be getting rid of it. If I'm in a capital city in the suburbs, in a good regional centre, and the demand supply ratio is good, I will not be selling right now. We're about to have the biggest boom in history. What you want to do, you've got to think about booms in history. Let's try to think about this. Since the 70s, in the 70s, you could buy a house for $2,000. And now the median house price is 600,000, 700,000, 800,000, depending on what capital city you're in. So you think how much higher property is now. However, to buy a property now, especially if you're investing, you can get a property that's positive. It costs you nothing. So in actual fact, properties are cheaper now than what they were in 1970, even though in the 70s you could buy a property for $2,000 because you couldn't own it for nothing. You had to work hard to keep that property. But you can actually buy a property now and do nothing. We've got members every week buying properties and it's costing them $20 a week or it's positive, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about it, if they're buying a property for $20 a week, how cheap is that? That is dirt cheap.
Nothing.
Because the price of the property is not the whole price you pay. It's how much it costs to keep the property that matters. And because of that, I really believe it's the cheapest time in history to buy property. And I'd be just buying property, not selling property. I'd be using my equity and expanding it, because let's say we're about to go through a big property boom. And a big property boom is like you've got all these boats in harbour, and then the tide comes in and pushes all the boats up, and every boat is higher. So the price of all the properties go up. Wouldn't it be better to have more properties than less in a property boom?
That's it.
The more properties you've got exposed to the property boom, the more money you're going to make.
Yeah.
What is the percentage increase that is expected in the mini boom for Melbourne? Andrew, I think that most of the experts are saying we're going to get 20 or 30% growth in the property market in general in the capital cities around Australia. Right? Now, I believe that, Melbourne's not bad. It's a good place. A lot of people are moving out of Melbourne, but there's going to, once COVID finishes completely, then we're going to get that massive upsurge. Because what's happening in Melbourne at the moment, it's like an elastic band. The market got squished, and then now it's pushed out again. It's pushing out again. And then what's happening is we got that pushed out because we've got the end of COVID and restrictions, and people are starting to make money again. There's a lot of people that have got money and they're starting to spend it. There's a lack of real estate, a massive lack of real estate in the whole of the country, except for units in capital cities. And because of that, the units in capital cities, commercial property is dropping, and it's really, a lot of people are hurting and hemorrhaging. And I've known a lot of people that have actually moved into their units just so they don't lose it. It's terrible.
I've heard that too.
But really, certainly I'd be looking at how to get out now before it goes even worse, because the problem is It's like a ship that's sinking and you're holding all the holes down, but you've only got a certain amount of hands to hold these holes, and sooner or later you're going to drown, and you just got to get rid of it.
Exactly.
So, but if I've
got a question.
Go for it.
Oh, you go.
No, you go.
Okay, so I've got, what's your opinion on the current first home buyers grant? Are these helping or hurting your investments?
It doesn't really affect it.
So I was actually talking about this.
They're going to end soon. They're going to end soon anyway, so it doesn't really affect it because we're looking at different types of properties. The first homeowner grant's really going into, they're usually a lot cheaper properties that they're buying, and in areas that we really wouldn't look at anyway. Because what's happening is there's a lot of areas that have got oversupply, where there's a lot of big developments. That's where a lot of new homeowners are going, because they're getting a lot of bonuses. So the new homeowners are getting bonuses. They're saying, look, we're going to give you a new kitchen, upgrade this, and give you blah, 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 and they go in there. The new homeowners aren't buying where we're buying because you're not getting any extra deals on there. We're paying full retail.
Retail!
Okay. Hello, George. Any inputs about Adelaide? What's better, north or southern suburbs? Okay. Look, the further out you go from Adelaide, the problem I find with the northern suburbs in Adelaide is there's a lot of land. There's just so much land up north, and there's a lot of development up north. There's just way too much. So personally, I can't see how the northern suburbs of Adelaide are going to really get a lot of growth because there's so much land. The western suburbs of Adelaide are stuck between the city and the sea, and I'm a big fan of the western suburbs. But there's a lot of pockets around the place that are really good, and I'm a big fan of the pockets of the older suburbs where there's a bit of infill. I'd stay away from large developments. Just don't go near large developments. Then we're very boutique. That's what we do.
Absolutely.
And is Melbourne expected to see a decline after this? Look, the fact of it is, everything that goes up must go down.
That's right.
Everything that goes down must go up. So there's always going to be that period of I hit my microphone. This period of correction. Don't be scared of the correction, because what happens is we go into the market. You've got a property clock. 12 o'clock's the peak up the top. 6 o'clock's the bottom down the bottom. And what you do is you want to buy at 7 o'clock as the clock's rising. If you buy at 7, you've got all that growth till 12. Then after 12, you've got a little bit of a correction. Then it goes up again. So once you've held the property for one full cycle, you're set. You're completely safe. That's why the sooner you buy a property, the better, so you can keep safe, because you want your property to go through that property cycle. Because the first property cycle it goes through, which is going to take between 7 to 10 years, is going to double. And then it's going to double again 7 to 10 years after that. And then it's going to double again. Now, so when you talk about doubling, right, This is what a lot of people don't realize. So if you get a $500,000 property, in 10 years, it's going to be worth $1 million. In 20, it's going to be worth $2 million. So it actually quadruples over that 20-year period. And a lot of people haven't been around long enough. I'm old enough to experience a doubling. And I'll tell you what, it's amazing. And that's why last year alone, I made over $1 million out of properties, because my properties that I've had for nearly 20 years, they have just going through the roof because I've had them for long enough. So the longer you have a property for, the better if you buy the right property. I never want to sell.
Yeah, that's it. Any more questions? Because I've got more.
Can inflation correct a bad property decision? Jeremy, yes, absolutely. And look, the fact of it is, in a rising market is very, very forgiving, right? It's very forgiving. When you're buying at 7 or 8 o'clock in a rising market, the market's very forgiving, and you can actually do stupid things and still get away with it, right? So anyone can make money in a rising market. That's the beauty of it. But the bad part is, if you want to make long-term money, it's better to make smart decisions and do it properly and get the right education and get the right advice, because it can help you more in the long term. Because, yes, if you don't know what you're doing, you could actually buy a property and get lucky and double your money in 7 years anyway.
Yeah.
But if you get an expert to help you, you can get 10 properties in 10 years and retire and never have to work a single day for the rest of your life. That's the difference.
That's it.
And the thing is, this is the thing though. I mean, if you get one property worth 500 and you double it in 10 years, you've still made $500,000 and you're still better off than 98% of Australians. So seriously, just getting one property is so worthwhile, but getting 2 is even more worthwhile, and getting 5 is fantastic. And the thing is, what we do in our program, we work out how much you need. I mean, for example, if you get a $500,000 property, let's say properties double every 10 years, then that means in 10 years' time, you get a $500,000 equity, which is going to give you 25,000 years income, passive income per year without getting out of bed. So by doing that, you can work out how many people you need, right? So if you want to make 100,000, you need 4 properties worth 500, and you need to hold them for 10 years. And that's why, I'm not really big on timing the market, because, that question you said about, will inflation correct a bad decision? Yes, but I really think I'd rather try to make the right decision, so then I can really grow my empire and my wealth and do everything properly. Because the challenge is, a lot of people don't know what to do when they're buying a property, and they get caught in analysis paralysis. And part of the reason is they don't understand the core principles. And once you understand the core principles, it's actually quite simple and easy, and you can make decisions easy. And that's the whole point.
Yeah, perfect.
Is there any strategy you have to charge more for rent compared to the others in the lot? Good question, Andrew. Yes, I've got a strategy to charge less. So seriously, the problem is, when you're charging too much for your property, you end up with poor quality tenants. So I really prefer to charge the market rent that it is and get the decent rent. And a lot of times, because what happens is, high quality tenants, they don't have to pay above average rent, because they've got good quality, they've got good referrals and everything else. Now, at the moment, there's a squeeze, and there's not a lot of rental properties available. So you're going to get more rent anyway. So I suggest never, ever, ever be the property manager, because you're not going to have your finger on the pulse. You're not going to know how much to charge, and you're not going to charge enough. Also, always review your rents and always put them up every 6 months or 12 months, depending on when the lease expires. Because what I like to do, a bit like a frog in boiling water, is I like to increase my rents little bit by little, and then everyone's happy, everyone's getting used to it easily, and fine. And what happens a lot, we get people coming and joining our program, and they've got 4 or 5 properties, and they think they've done well, and we do a rent review, and we see they haven't put up their rent in 5 years, and they say, "But George, this is a good tenant, we can't put up the rent." And I said, "Look, if they're not paying market rent, they're not a good tenant."
That's right.
Someone that's not paying you market rent is not a good tenant. The only good tenant you've got is a tenant that pays their rent, looks after your house, and follows everything properly. And if they don't pay the right rent, if they don't look after their house, and if they're not, paying their rent on time, they're not a good tenant. And you need to get rid of them. You need to get a property manager to look after them. And so many times we've actually got people in and we've changed their portfolios and really changed the income they're getting. I mean, we had one girl that joined that program 3 weeks ago. In the first half an hour meeting with Christina, she saved nearly $25,000 a year just because we fixed their rental situation. Okay, I've got a big question here. What do you think of Mansfield Park? Kept it for 12 years, grow heaps, but we sold our property in January 2020 before COVID. Sold it before COVID. Oh, that's sad. A little sad we sold. Yes, I would be too. Good or bad decision? We'd love to work with you both to get in investing. Used to work with you guys 10 years ago at a future for kids. Love to get in touch. Jenna.
Oh, wow. Future.
Okay,
future
so look,
for kids.
That's really good that you want to do something for your future kids, which is excellent. And
Future
Jenna,
for Kids is that was that company we work for.
Okay, investing. Used to work with you guys 10 years ago for Future for Kids. How funny, how awesome. Oh, there you go.
That's the internet children's stuff that we were doing, George.
Yes, excellent. I remember now. So Jenna, what I suggest you do, Jenna, is probably if we can get Charmaine, book in with Charmaine for a 15-minute strategy session and see if it can help you. Now, look, if you made money at a Mansfield property, that's really good. It's a shame that you sold because I don't like selling. Because what I prefer to do is if a property goes up in value, you can see my pet dog out the back.
There's movement in the background.
Hey Jojo, come here, Jojo.
Jojo,
he's such a cutie.
He's such a cute doggy.
Come here,
Jojo. Look at it, Jojo.
He's such a beautiful dog. He's just so placid. He just sits there and loves attention. And he sooks when Christina goes and has a workout. So, yep. So what we're going to do, Jenna, is we're going to connect you with Charmaine so Charmaine can look at what you're doing and see if we can help. And look, the thing is you've made money at a property, so I think that's really good. Well done. I applaud anyone that's got the guts to invest in property and do things. And the thing is, a lot of people invest in property. Look, a lot of people invest in property and it doesn't work out the first time or second time around. And what I say to you is don't worry. It doesn't matter. It's not your fault. We don't get taught this at school. And the fact of it is, you got the opportunity now to learn what you're doing. Okay, Andrew, is that something that property manager reviews every 6 months, or we have to review and discuss with property manager settled on that property in direct? Yes, Andrew. So what you need to do is we need to keep on top of things. So we need to be proactive with our property manager. And one, we need to build a relationship with our property manager and make sure they're looking after our interests. So what happens is normally if we buy into a group of townhouses, like for example, direct, then what happens is we get the on-site manager to manage our property to begin with, especially because we want to make sure that because they've got they live there, they know the area, they can help us.
Finger on the pulse. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the fact of it is, what we want to do is every 6 months we want to put that up. Because, property actual rents in that area have gone up already. So I definitely do that. Rents have gone up everywhere. I get messages from people every day going, George, we're looking for a property. We're desperate to get a rental property. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I don't do rental properties. I just help people invest. And, I feel sorry for these people, but people are finding it hard to get a property to rent. And on the same time, there's all these people with units in the city that are desperate and can't get anything,
Exactly.
Mark Fawcett, having 20% deposits and not getting loans, who do you know to get a reasonable low doc? Mark, good question. You'd have to go talk to our circle of safety. So, Mark, I suggest what you do is book in Charmaine. I'll get her to PM you her details, book in for review, or we'll check it out. Because with Mark, you're a business owner. I know who you are. Hello and welcome. When you're a business owner, getting a loan it's a science and an art at the same time, and you really got to put the package together properly. And a lot of people don't realize this, but there's a lot of different finances around Australia. There's a lot of different ways you can present yourself. And depending on the situation, you've got to get matched to the right people at the right time to be able to do that. But yes, no worries. You're welcome, Mark. Yeah, so Jenna, it's
Question.
great to, you know what? It's great to see someone from such a long time ago. It's fantastic, isn't it?
That was when we ran that office at Henley Beach Road.
Yes, I know.
The blue office.
Yep.
Back in the day.
So yes.
I've got a question.
Go.
Can I have a question?
Go.
Hi, Linda. Could you please advise me what resources Positive Property Solutions is using to determine the top 100 growth suburbs? ? And I haven't been able to see Cabelabar or Burpengary listed as the top 100 growth suburbs.
Yep. Okay. So look, the top 100 growth suburbs, that is a Positive Property thing. So you won't see it anywhere unless we publish it, right? So that's what happens. So who determines the top 100? Me. I do that. But I do it through statistical research. So what I'll do is I'll open up a document and talk about where we get these from. But what basically, where I get my data from, you can get as well. But there's a lot of different places I get it from. And what I'll do is I'll post later where I get our data from. So it's all available online. Some of you have to pay for, some of you get for free, but it's really good stuff. And there's 29 different indicators that we look at, and I'm happy to go through that, but it's probably a little bit too complicated to go through on a Facebook Live.
Absolutely.
But I will go through.
I think we're almost at time too, George, unless you've got more questions.
Love you guys. That's very nice. Thank you so much. I love it when people say that to us. It's beautiful. Look, I must say, I feel very grateful for all our members in the Australian Property Chat. We've got amazing team there, amazing crew. And what we're thinking about doing is we're thinking about doing a 2-day workshop in Adelaide. And this is prior for me to go to I'm going on a 6-month holiday to
Bali.
Yes, to Bali. There you go. Thank you for reminding me. So, Linda, when do you want to run this workshop?
Workshop, what, in Adelaide?
I was thinking June, Adelaide.
April, May, June. Yeah, June's good.
Okay, so we're going to announce the date next week. And what we're going to do, guys, this is what we're doing. I'm going to do a 2-day workshop. I'm going to invite people from Australian Property Chat to join us on the first day. And we're going to get all our members coming on 2 days. We're going to do the sort of intro event on the Saturday, and then on the Friday, and then the full event on the Saturday. It's going to be a Friday, Saturday.
Yep, perfect.
And we're going to be doing lots of exciting things, breaking boards and doing the other stuff like we normally do.
Goal setting. Get some lovely little guest speakers coming in and having a little chat.
Look, the thing is, part of the thing.
Excited.
Look, what I found about real estate, and because I retired in real estate in my 30s, and what I found, it can get a little bit lonely when you're a real estate investor. And one thing when I first started in real estate that really was annoying is best capital cities to buy at $500,000 budget. Brisbane. If you got $500,000 to buy with Jeremy, I'd go Brisbane, definitely.
Just watch out. There's some dodgy places in Brisbane, though. So
look. The thing is, with Brisbane, it's one of those funny places where you can have one suburb which is going to boom, and then 2 suburbs over, you've got something that's not going to work. But definitely Brisbane.
Or just recently on the paper, those guys that coming from a certain suburb that put these people in a toolbox and threw them off a cliff. They've just been caught.
Toolbox to throw off a cliff? What are you talking about?
Oh, it's just I'm up in Queensland at the moment. I'm seeing all the news.
Oh, at the end of workshop party. Yes, we're going to have a big party on the Saturday night. It's going to be fun. Oh, look, you know what? Adelaide's completely clear of COVID, right? Come to Melbourne. No, sorry. I will come to Melbourne, but not for a workshop because I'm worried that Dan Andrews might lock the state down any minute. You never know. You know what I mean? When is Melbourne on your list to have workshop? It was, which areas do you avoid in Brisbane? Well, Jeremy, start with our, we've got the no-go zone list. So, if you go in, we've got a no-go zone list. Look at some of our resources. That'd be great. But I'm worried about Dan closing down the state again because you never know, right?
Yep.
So I know that Adelaide is probably a lot easier not to close down because we've been
Yeah.
open. We were closed down for 4 days last year. That was it. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't easy. So we're very fortunate. I think Australia as a whole.
I thought it was like 2 days for you guys.
I think it was 2 or 3 days, and we lost. We had no toilet paper left. It was gone completely. Luckily, I've sort of got a cellar just full of everything, and seriously, I could go for a year without going to the shops anyway. Except the only thing I ran out of nearly over COVID was wine, because I had a bit of a pity party when it first started. I thought, if I'm going to die, I might as well just have some wine and have some fun, and open up some of these Penfolds that I've been saving, for years and years and years. So, guys, we're definitely going to have a workshop in Melbourne. Love to have you guys to come along.
Adelaide.
What we're doing in Adelaide, sorry. What we're doing in Adelaide, by the way, is we're having a workshop next week in Adelaide.
But that's a different workshop, isn't it? That's not.
No, it's just the evening workshop.
It's an evening workshop.
Yeah. So, guys, if anyone's online, if anyone wants to come to our workshop, because we've got limited space, unfortunately, because of COVID, we can only have a certain amount of people in the building. Just type in the word workshop, and we'll see if we can send you an invitation to come along on Monday night. If you live in Adelaide, if you don't live in Adelaide, don't bother. If someone needs a little bit of help, if someone wants a free call with Charmaine, if you want to work out, get crystal clear on your property investing and work out, the 1 or 2 things you need to do. If you've got some serious questions and you need some one-on-one support, please type in what strategy session, and then we'll send you a link to Charmaine's link. So that's the 2 resources we've got at the moment for you guys. If you want a strategy session, please type the word strategy session. We're going to get someone to DM you. If you want to go to the workshop, type in workshop. As long as you're in Adelaide, we'll let you come. If you're from Melbourne, it's going to be too far. Wait till our 1-day workshop. But otherwise, that's it. So to summarize what we've been talking about, we've been talking about how inflation pays off your loan. We've been talking that Harry and Meghan and Harry are looking at, trying to get some money to pay off their mansion in California, which is a bit of fun, a bit of tongue in cheek. But seriously, what we're really talking about is household net worth has gone up in the Western world quite a bit. Yeah. And that means that's a big sign of inflation. Low interest rates are inflation, and printing money is an inflation. Australia is better off $182 billion, Australians in general. That's a lot of money we've got since last year. In 1 year to be up 182 million is pretty full on. Now, what's happening at the end of March is Job Seeker is going.
Yeah.
Right? So next Wednesday, join us for my live. I'm going to be dissecting JobsKeeper. I'm going to be talking about what's been happening in the economy, but also I'm going to explain what's going to happen after JobKeeper, because it's actually going to affect the property market, and it's going to affect a lot of stuff. So if you want to find out about JobKeeper, come and join us next week, because I'm going to be talking about it especially. I've been getting my stats ready, and it's going to be very interesting. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been great.
Great session. Love your work.
Now, Belinda, do you want to tell everyone what our values are while we're here?
Values, of course. Love our values.
Do you want to take it one at a time?
Look, we can go one at a time. I just want to let you know, I saw our values video, and I must admit, I got emotional in a really good, happy way.
Belinda,
I thought it was brilliant.
3D in that video. It's like, what I mean? You jump out of the screen. You look great in the video. You're really,
Thanks. But, so look, our values is the word heart, and the heart acronym, which H stands for have fun. Because look, we're here for a good time and a long time, and you might as well enjoy yourself, Enjoy the journey, not the destination.
Exactly.
Bring it on.
And the point is, it's progress over perfection, because that's the whole point. Because I started this company to have fun, and I started because investing can be lonely, and I wanted to create a tribe of like-minded people. So, you guys watching us now, you're my tribe, and I'm really thankful, and I'm going to go to that. But after H for have fun, what's next? That's E for everyone wins. So in our company,
wins.
Which means
win-win scenario.
Purpose over profit, because really what we're doing is we want to make sure our members win. We want to make sure our clients win. We want to make sure our staff win, the company wins, but also the community, everyone. And that's how we make decisions. And if there's losers in the equation, we're not going to do it.
Absolutely.
And my favorite today, go.
A No BS.
Authentic, no bullshit. And look, I like to call it the way it is. I'm not very politically correct. And, you know, if you lean really far left, you probably won't like me. But I'm not right wing either, not left. I'm in the middle. You know what I mean? I call it the way it is.
You're a straight shooter.
Exactly. And then R for radical responsibility. And you know what?
Yep.
That means that you got to take responsibility for yourself.
Do whatever it takes.
Do whatever it takes. And seriously, you know, when you've got a goal, right, you need grit, right? And the thing is, when you're buying property, you know, it's like that song, get knocked down and get back up again. That's what you got to do. You know, finance knocks you back, you get up again. This happens, you get up again. That's part of the reason you get a coach. The coach gets you up, dusts you off, moves you along again. You know, you get on there. But we do whatever it takes. And our last one, Belinda.
Thankful and grateful.
And you know what? Being thankful and grateful is probably the most important thing that any gift that you can give yourself is being thankful and grateful. And a lot of people say, well, you know, I can't be thankful and grateful because nothing's good in my life. Well, it goes the other way around. If you want goodness in your life, you've got to start with thankful and gratefulness, and it will build. And I really believe that the more thankful and grateful you can be, if you can create those moments where, you know, every morning I do meditation, and then after that I do loving kindness and send good vibe for people in the world. And then I'm very thankful and grateful. And before I eat a meal, I'm thankful and grateful. I've got lots of little spaces in my life where I can devote being thankful and grateful, including the end of our sessions like now.
Absolutely.
So guys, look, I really enjoyed it. It was fantastic. Belinda, thank you so much for joining us as well.
My pleasure. Absolutely. It's always a pleasure.
A lot of fun. And thanks everyone else. And see you next week. Remember, we're on every single Wednesday. One of us is going to be here every Wednesday for the rest of the year. We're here to help you. We're here to spread the word and build our tribe. And what's our tribe? We are the freedom fighters. We're fighting for freedom. So freedom fighters, till next week. Enjoy. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening. I'm grateful for all our listeners around the world. If you found this podcast valuable, please share with someone that might find this useful, and please join our tribe of purpose-driven investors, increasing income and impact in our Facebook group, Positive Property. Please note, with a multi-million-dollar property portfolio and a passive income, I've become incredibly successful in investing in property. The fact of it is, however, many people may find investing in property challenging. It's not easy, and it takes a lot of hard work. However, becoming educated to make an informed decision and having the right advisors gives you the tools you need to succeed. The most important part of this formula, however, is to actually take action and apply that knowledge. It is important to understand the information I share is of a general nature only and is not taking into account your unique circumstances. If you're considering investing in any asset class, you need to seek the advice of an independent professional advisor who will be able to look at your specific situation. Be sure your advisor has actually achieved the kind of results you're seeking. Many won't have, so beware. We've taken great care putting those educational resources together. We'd be surprised if you didn't find any errors or omissions. If you do, our legal team says we have to say we're not responsible for those. In fact, as with all things, even your success, we're not responsible. That responsibility always has and always will come down to you and the actions you take. We're passionate about supporting you in that process and helping you increase your ability to create wealth, live the life you desire, and provide all the things you dream of for you and your family.